like, and never turn it back on in the rest of life.
Let us pray. God our Father, we thank you for your grace. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for the opportunity to gather together as a community. It is in this moment we pray for your knowledge, your wisdom, and your understanding to be applied upon our commissioners that will discuss business that ultimately affect your people. Father, allow your favor, your blessings, and your grace to reign on this county that we call Miami-Dade, and all these blessings that you have in store for us, release them. All these things we ask in your Son's name, I do pray. Amen.
Amen.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I always thank the chairman for putting me on this committee with all of you. Yes, I thank him every day. It's like, I don't know how who has all the blessings, then I'm blessed. Yes, I'm blessed. All right. Welcome to the Infrastructure Innovations and Technology Committee. I'm Oliver Gilbert, the chairperson. We are going to hop right into business. I guess it's appropriate, if the attorney is safe, for us to go right into reasonable opportunity to be heard.
Yes, Chairman.
Reasonable opportunity to be heard is now open. Anybody wishing to be heard, please approach the dais. Give me your name, your address, and you will have 2 minutes.
I think I'm probably the closest one. My name is Martin Moats, and I live at 25,000 Farm Life Road, Redlands, Florida. And I'm a member of your Ag Practices Board. And I've come to reiterate that the ordinance as it's now revised received approval from your Agricultural Practices Board. In the process of analyzing it.
Martin, are you speaking on 1G2?
That's compost, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a public hearing item. So,
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna come to you all on public hearing
I'm
for
sorry,
those
I thought
items.
you were calling for speakers.
Yes, and so okay, and this is for, I think, Mr. Coffey and the mayor. I think you all are on items that are in public hearing. Yeah, so we have your cards, and we'll call you when we come to that.
Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody else? Reasonable opportunity. Reasonable opportunity. Reasonable opportunity to be heard is now. Reasonable opportunity to be heard is now closed. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there are several additions that made it to your official agenda. Those are the additions of 1G1 supplement, 1G1 substitute supplement, 1G2 supplement, and the addition of 3A substitute. Additionally, I will note that 1G2 and item 2D are cross-referenced, so the committee may want to consider those items together. And with that, though, a motion to set the agenda is in order.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Cornigan, seconded by Commissioner Regalado. Are there any additions or deferrals from the committee at this time?
Well, I would like to defer 3A, but I know that the agreements expire October 1st. So, as usual, we are given little to no time to discuss this. So, I guess I would like to hear from the administration what they think about potentially deferring that item. This is the terms that are in the interlocal that we have with several cities. My issue with the item, and I appreciate the substitute, which takes care of some of the problems, is that we're doubling down on some of the issues that we have with the bond. And I don't understand why we're doing that. Because at this point, if interest rates were just a little bit lower, I would refinance the $30 million for the bond and be done with these restrictions. So for us now to codify these restrictions in these agreements with our municipality is a bridge too far. So can we defer it? Are we okay with pushing this out a little bit more, or are people going to have their hair on fire because these interlocals expire October 1st? I would add, these are our municipal partners. I don't think anyone's going to run and hide or anything.
Why don't we do this? Giving you all a chance, we'll take the agenda, and we'll start to work through the agenda, and you all ponder that, and then before we get to that item, we'll address the deferral.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, show the agenda approved. We're now on, I see there are no presentations. We're now on 1G1. I'm going to call the folks who have signed up for 1G1. Oh, this one too. And I'm going to take 1G1 as 1G1 and 1G1 supplement and 1G1 substitute together. Public hearing on those items are now open. We're going to call Fortuna Smuckler, Kendall Coffey, Mark Ellenby, Mayor Michael Joseph, Vice Mayor Robert Stevens, and City Attorney Sonia Knighton Dickens. You all can line up behind each podium or sit there in the front row and come, and you all have 2 minutes. Let's do the title first. And by the way, give me your name and your address when you, yeah, go ahead, read the title.
1G1 and 1G1 substitutes an ordinance relating to water and sewer regulation, amending Section 32-4 of the Code of Miami-Dade County, Florida, creating Section 32-56 of the Code, establishing minimum standards for municipal public utilities operating outside of the boundaries of such municipality, providing for enforcement of such minimum standards, amending Section 8CC 10 of the Code, providing for civil penalties, requiring county mayor or county mayor's designee to provide report concerning repeat violators, and providing severability inclusion in the code and an effective date that is 1G1 and 1G1 substitute.
Thank you. You're recognized.
Good morning.
Oh, sorry.
Either one.
Good morning. My name is Mark Ellenby. My address is 7245 Southwest 138th Street, Palmetto Bay. I'm here to address this committee in full support of your proposed compost ordinance. I'm a longtime farmer in the Redland, remarkably since 1980. I'm a lifetime composter. On our
I think that you wrote down the wrong number on your card. So this isn't for you.
Oh.
But if you want to finish your remarks, what we'll do is we'll carry those over for 1G1. So go ahead. Or 1G2.
So my history is as a lifetime composter, as a grower in Miami-Dade County in the Redland. We do sheet composting, where we grind up vegetative debris, compost in place. We do windrow composting, where we cook down the compost in long rows and make beds. In those beds on our organic farm, we are currently growing turmeric and ginger. We're growing it on top of the Redland. We do vermicomposting in our home in Palmetto Bay. In the side, we use all of our kitchen waste and compost everything and use it in our garden. And we do cold composting and hot composting. Composting is a partial solution to our overwhelming debris problem in Miami-Dade County. Can we compost our way out of the immense amount of trash that we have? To a degree, yes. All of the vegetative debris, all of the Amazon boxes, food waste, community composting, school composting can all be part of the solution. So I'm here to say thank you for drafting this ordinance to make it easier for community composters and to make it perfect and as it should be for farm composters. So thank you.
Thank you. You're recognized.
So first of all, I'm guilty of taking someone's pen. So if someone is missing their pen, I have it. And also I want to apologize that I'm reading and not speaking without reading, but it is still coming from the heart. So good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Fortuna Smuckler, and I am a commissioner in the city of North Miami Beach, NMB. I am here today to oppose this ordinance because it directly targets...
Give me your address, please.
Oh, I apologize. 17011 Northeast 19th Avenue North, Miami Beach. I am here today to oppose this ordinance because it directly targets NMB water and seeks to impose county oversight in an area where state law is clear. Municipalities have the authority to provide water service both inside and outside their boundaries and to set just and equitable rates through their local ordinances. This appears to be another attempt to reduce utility operations when the state allows utilities to surcharge for our operations. This ordinance would duplicate oversight that already exists. NMB Water is regulated by state and federal agencies, including Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the EPA. Our water is not murky. And our rates are reviewed through professional studies, public workshops, and city commission adoptions. Is the county willing to incur costs for implementing and monitoring measures while also dealing with significant budget cuts? Is the county wanting and willing to duplicate the work that the state and other regulatory agencies already do? All this adds up to the county budget as well. This body should also take into account Governor DeSantis' recent veto of a similar measure at the state level. State law gives municipal cities the power to provide water services both inside and outside their boundaries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mayor Joseph.
Good morning. My name is Michael Joseph, Mayor of the great city of North Miami Beach, 17011 North. Oh, sorry. My name is Michael Joseph. Time's going, so I just want to. Oh, thank you. Good morning. My name is Michael Joseph, Mayor of the city of North Miami Beach, 17011 Northeast 19th Avenue. To the chair and to the committee members, I'm here to express our strong opposition to a solution looking for a problem. This proposed ordinance that's unfairly targeting NMB Water, our municipality owned and operated utility, and appears to duplicate already existing regulatory standards that we adhere to. This ordinance not only threatens our ability to continue to deliver critical services, but it also raises serious operational and governance concerns. If the goal is transparency, there are far less invasive ways to achieve it. We have always been and continue to be open to the conversation and partnerships. We are open to exploring opportunities to benefit all of our customers, not just one section of our customers, including current and proposed rebate and discount programs that we're currently working on. And to close, our water utility already meets strict state and local regulations as well as federal. We are award-winning because we do more than follow the rules. Adding more red tape doesn't make water safer. It would only just raise the cost for all customers. Again, I waive an opposition to this ordinance, and I am here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you, Chair and the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We may actually have questions when we get into our dialogue, so hang around. Thank you.
Good morning,
Recognized.
Honorable Chair and members of the Commission. Kendall Coffey at 2601 South Bay Shore, P1, as well as residents 3225 Franklin 202, both in Miami 33133. I rise just to give some context, some legal context to the issues. And I think the starting point is we all know that Section 180.191, with a very heavy endorsement from the Supreme Court of Florida, has established that this rate is perfectly authorized. And I think it's also clear that the county commission cannot override that. That would be a classic attempt to, in effect, run into a conflict with state law, which you can't do. The Home Rule Charter gives a lot of special powers. There's 9 of them enumerated, but none of the enumerated prerogatives specifically consigned to the Home Rule Charter in Miami-Dade County allow this. So if this is, in effect, an attempt through different stages to challenge the 25% surcharge, legally, that's not going to be viable. It's and to give some context for this, the Supreme Court of Florida made it clear that there are costs of municipal services that those outside the municipal limits need to be assessed for. And it says it can't be determined with mathematical certainty, but that's a legitimate and important and protected function. I'll simply add in closing, from the veto message of Governor DeSantis, and we know this is a different body with different authority than Governor DeSantis, but he points out that rather than encouraging the municipalities to resolve the dispute themselves, or providing a comprehensive solution for all utility customers in the state. Obviously, this is not a step in that direction whatsoever. It seems to suggest that...
Thank you, Mr. Coffey.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
And you are a registered lobbyist on this item for North Miami Beach?
Yes, sir, I am.
I thought so. Thank you.
Good morning, committee. Sonia Dickens, City Attorney, City of Miami Gardens, 18605 Northwest 27th Avenue, Miami Gardens, Florida. Giving some context, and I actually read the ordinance, and what this ordinance proposes to do is what exactly your authority allows you to do. We've seen that some cities, if left to their own devices, will not act fairly towards their sister cities. They will not give fair rates. They will give rates as high as they can possibly charge. This is when the county has to step in. You have full authority under the charter of the county as well as the Constitution, because that's where your authority is found. That gives you the authority to regulate water throughout the county and to ensure that there's fairness and parity throughout the county. That gives you the authority to ensure that the rates that are charged are fair. This is not a direct attack on the 25% surcharge, because there are some instances where the 25% surcharge makes sense. The statute also requires, though, if we're going to talk about the statute, that there be an agreement amongst the cities who are charged the rate. It cannot be unilateral. What you have right now in the county is a situation where you have unilateral charges with no oversight. There are, you all know about the Public Service Commission when it comes to other utilities. There's no such commission as it relates to these municipal water services. There's no regulation. There's also no ability to speak if you're not a resident, or if you're not a resident of that particular city. You can go and speak, but of course those representatives don't represent you. Those city commissioners don't represent you if you're outside of the boundaries. So the City of Miami Gardens is simply asking that the county do what the county is here to do, which is to ensure that there's fairness throughout the rates, fairness throughout the county, and do what actually the governor did say. The governor said that there should be a way to resolve these issues. We agree, but if you have a city that's unwilling to resolve, then that's when the county needs to step in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Stevens, 18605 Northwest 27th Avenue. Mr. Chair, Board of Commission, thank you all so very much for hearing us on this ordinance. I can tell you firsthand that what the residents have experienced and the real impacts that utilities operated outside the boundaries requires proper oversight. This is not the standard for residents, not in Miami Gardens nor in Miami-Dade County. This ordinance takes a strong step forward by establishing the minimum standards for municipal utilities that operates outside of their boundaries. It also provides real enforcement. That accountability is crucial for protecting our neighborhoods and our communities. For the people of Miami Gardens and for the families across Miami-Dade County, this is about fairness, transparency, and respect. If utilities are going to work in our communities, they must do so responsibly and with accountability. With that being said, I stand in full support of this item and ask that you all will support it as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I called some names and some folks didn't come forward. I'm going to call their names again. And I got a new card for address 11801 Southwest 25th Terrace. I can't read your handwriting for your name. I'm sorry. Okay. And Maya Passmore and Phyllis Smith. Those are the last three cards. You all can come to the microphone if you want to speak. You're recognized.
My name is Emiliano Antunes, 11801 Southwest 25th Terrace. I am a registered lobbyist on this.
Okay.
Get that out of the way. So there's a few things that I wanted to clear up before the board is that, one, currently North Miami Beach Water has like over $100 million in bond obligations for prior improvements, infrastructure improvements. And they have over $250 million through 2031 in expenditures for improvements to the system. They're regulated by a state agency and two federal agencies. They meet all those requirements. So based on that, adding another layer of bureaucracy to it, I don't think fixes the issue. All this that I've mentioned today and more is public record. So, I think that we should look at this issue a little bit more because there are fiscal impacts both to the city of North Miami Beach Water and Miami-Dade County, and I think there's other ways of resolving this than the way we're doing it today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You're recognized. You're recognized.
Oh, okay. Good morning. Maya Passmore. I'm a property owner at 14500 Northwest 12th Avenue. I'm speaking as a property owner. We are serviced by North Miami Beach Water. I'm here against the ordinance. So it feels like we're using real people with real problems as props. That's not leadership. This item feels like retaliation and not reform in direct response to House Bill 11 being vetoed by, that was vetoed by Governor DeSantis back in July, which said that the surcharge was fair and legal statewide and that it needed to be handled local, which to me translates to the utility company meeting with Miami Gardens, if this is about Miami Gardens. The mayor's here. He seems to keep showing up. And where's the conversation with the mayor for it to be local versus at the county level? It just seems like we're skipping steps. And then there was a comment made about it not being open to the public and individuals not being able to respond. It's a public utilities commission that oversees and acts as an advisory board to North Miami Beach Water. They meet every second Wednesday of the month. It's open to the public. The second point is just questions. Is it anyone on this committee with a background in water infrastructure? Another is, has anyone on this committee visited any of the water utility plants that this affects and to understand what goes into water utility and serving over 100,000 customers? Have you talked to the people? These are blue-collar, hard-working people that don't have anything to gain from price gouging. The other question is, in the last 3 weeks, my mom received 3 mailers, text messages, campaigns for a digital ad. If this was about lowering water bills, that money could have went to residents that needed their bills lowered, not a campaign. It just seems like we're missing the point here. The other one is, if this is about creating a standard process, let's also implement it for the utility tax that's imposed by municipalities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Public hearing on this item is closed. Well, I see Phyllis Smith back there, but I did call her name, I think, 3 times, and so, yeah. No, I called it the first time and the second time, but come up. You have 2 minutes. I'm sorry, you needed it called twice?
I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have a bit of a cold, I'm sorry. So first let me thank you, this esteemed council, for letting me speak. My name is Phyllis Smith. I'm a commissioner for many years in the city of North Miami Beach, 17011 Northeast 19th Avenue. It's over 17 years. This issue can rivet, not just for Miami Gardens, but as you know, what we vote on as a commission, many times it has ripple effects, and this will definitely have ripple effects. We service almost 10 cities. The 25% charge has a distinct use. We repair, we maintain the pipes all on the tax dollars that's given. One thing that we have to point out is our water plant was in Miami Gardens long before Miami Gardens ever became a city. What we want to make clear, and what I hope the commission will understand, is that that has to be paid one way or the other. I mean, the rates will have to go up. Somehow, it still has to be paid. The funds have to be there to support the workers that take care of the water plant. And I want to say that North Miami Beach, when it comes to negotiation, we did negotiate. This has been going on a long time. We no longer charge for any of their municipal property. That is no longer charged. And I want to tell you, quite frankly, we have really come to what we consider a great agreement for everyone. Because why? Because the money has to be paid to take care of the water plant and to take care of the pipes that go to every one of these municipalities, including Miami Gardens. I just want to thank you. I want to tell you that it is a very important issue.
Thank you.
But remember the ripple effect. And thank you all. May you be blessed.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public hearing on this item is now closed. It's my item. I'll introduce it. And let me start by saying to the elected officials from North Miami Beach who are here, I appreciate your comments, but they were factually incorrect. But just factually incorrect enough that they weren't complete dishonest statements, they were just misleading. So when you say you're regulated by the state and the federal government, your water system, your water quality is, but this surcharge isn't. It's regulated by no one. It's so interesting that Mr. Coffey, who is a wonderful lawyer, I respect your reputation, and a lobbyist in this instance, he talked about the authority of the county. And with all due respect, we take our cues from our county attorneys, but without regard to that, the charter and the Constitution of the state of Florida are clear. We get to regulate water and sewer throughout the entire county. They get to provide that service because we allow it. With regard to the governor's veto, the governor said it should be taken locally. This is actually locally. And a point that we really can't miss is I've never seen people who can skip an entire portion of the section. And so I, like Mr. Coffey, was a litigator once. And there's this thing called candor to the court. And candor to the court, the concept is that even if a case doesn't benefit you, you can't tell the court about some of the cases and ignore a case that is against you. You got to tell them about it and explain it. Now, when you're a litigator, that's important because you get disbarred if you're not candid with the court. So to everyone who got up and talked about 180.191, it is ironic that they didn't talk about 180.19. See, 191 establishes a surcharge if you're providing a municipality, providing water beyond your boundaries, you get to charge a 25% surcharge. That's what 191 allows you to do. But the state statute and the statutory scheme is interesting because 180.19 says that if you're going to actually provide this surcharge or provide those services, you have to actually have an agreement with the cities that you're providing the surcharge in, the service in. It's in Florida statute right now. So when people say, well, the city should work it out, it was the affirmative obligation of every municipality, not just North Miami Beach, who's providing water outside of their boundaries, to actually have that agreement. That's in the statute right now. So everyone who's got up and spoke against it, they're saying they want to be able to have a surcharge based on them providing services outside of their boundaries, but they don't want to actually have the agreement that allows them to do it. So we know that if they don't have those agreements, which I'm assuming they do have the agreement, this does not stop them from charging the 25%. It makes them have the agreement that the statute requires. The statute requires the agreement right now. Mr. Attorney, is that correct?
Yes.
So when you stand in opposition to this ordinance, which is an implementing ordinance for the statute that you're operating under anyway, I'm giving pause because I don't understand why someone would fight so hard to not be compliant with the law. The idea that this would endanger, and this speaks directly to North Miami Beach's issue. I've heard it throughout all of the legislative committee meetings in Tallahassee, but I did not hear it today from their elected officials. And I was happy not to hear it from their elected officials. I didn't hear from their elected officials that this would endanger their ability to service the pipes in Miami Gardens. They didn't say that this time. Now, the former commissioner, she said it. But the current elected officials didn't say it. And I'm happy they didn't say it because it's not true. Mr. Auditor, come to the stand. Let's go.
I just wanted to ask a few questions really quick as people come up. And again, we've all been dealing with this for a very long time. We've met with folks. I just wanted to give a little bit of historical context and ask you kind of what comes after this, because we have met with the attorneys on it. Once upon a time, this county used to take funds from water and sewer and put it in the general fund. It was a thing. It was a thing. And it led to having serious infrastructure needs on the water and sewer side. And by the way, once upon a time, this government did that to the airport until it was told that it couldn't. And, you know, it did it to water and sewer until it was told that it couldn't. And so when we talk about enterprise and proprietary funds versus non-enterprise and proprietary, you know, we come from a very different perspective. And when you look at how we have had to course correct water and sewer in order to make up for those losses, we didn't get the money back from the general fund. We just had to deal with it, right? And we've been dealing with it for the last, I want to say, almost like probably 9 years at this point, trying to get water and sewer back to a point where it can meet its requirements. And unfortunately, it caused us to raise our fees for our customers, right? So my understanding of this item is that, in a way, we are asking them to be transparent about whether their fund is proprietary or not. So in a way, right, that's what it's doing. It's forcing it's forcing that conversation as to the fees that you take for the service that you provide. Is it being taken outside of this fund and used in the general fund or somewhere else, or not? Now, my question is, I think that the disclosure is important. Is it going to prohibit them? Because obviously they're talking about the bonds and different projects that they financed and how they have to pay that. My understanding is, you know, this is the first step in providing transparency and accountability as to where that money is going. They have infrastructure needs. What comes after? Are they given a certain amount of time to like course correct? You know, what is the conversation beyond that? Are we saying that they have to be proprietary? That's my question.
We're not saying that they have to be. We're not saying they have to be proprietary.
I think that's important for them to hear.
Yeah, we're not saying they have to be
because I think that's the takeaway. The takeaway is that we're saying you have to be proprietary. We're not saying that.
Well, but
you have to be transparent about not being proprietary.
Transparent, but I think Yinka probably speaking to this. Yinka, you've had an opportunity to review because a lot was made and it's been made previously about the maintenance of their bonds and all this other stuff. And what do we know about specifically North Miami Beach and their bonds?
Good afternoon, Chairman. According to the official statement of the City of North Miami Beach Revenue Bonds Series 2020A, 2020B, under the litigation section, there was a clarification made as to the relationship between the surcharge and the general fund. And if it's appropriate, Chairman, can I quote the document? Yes. In the event of an unfavorable outcome, any damages to be paid by the city are expected to be paid out of the city's general fund revenues and not the pledged funds, because the 25% surcharge on the outside city customers collected pursuant to Section 180.191 Florida statutes is expressly excluded from the gross revenues of the system. As such, an unfavorable outcome is not expected to affect the city's ability to pay the principal and interest of the 2020 series bonds.
So, colleagues, let me explain what that means. And let me give you all some context. City of Miami Gardens, when I was the mayor, I sued North Miami Beach over this surcharge because they privatized the water system. And I told them previously they couldn't privatize the water system and charge a surcharge because it was only for municipally owned and operated water system. There was a lot of litigation. Miami Gardens lost at the trial level. We knew we were right. We appealed it. The appellate court essentially came back and said, no, you really can't do that, and they were forced to settle with Miami Gardens. But in the interim, the city of North Miami Beach went out for revenue bonds because they wanted to do work. So what he just read is from their bond attorneys and their bond engineers. So everyone who says that this is going to affect their ability to maintain the water system, that's an absolute lie. They take the money from every surcharge that they charge for every city and they put it directly into their general fund. That is what they do. And so, Commissioner Regalado, to your point, what the county was doing in the past, way before we got here, was they were taking water rate money, right? Because built into your water rates is stuff like your debt service, some reserve calculations, stuff like maintenance, all of those things, future expense, all that stuff is built into the absolute water rate. The county was doing it, the county had to stop. That's not what the surcharge is. The surcharge is something completely separate that they can and they have been taking into their general fund. It is important to note that this does not just affect North Miami Beach. The reason why they're here and louder than everyone else is because we haven't found this issue with any of our other water providers in the entire county. No one's doing it like this, as far as we can tell. We've asked Roy, he's looked at it. We can't find someone else who's doing like this. We met with Coral Gables and we met with Homestead. They expressed some concerns. Well, I don't have a problem with your operations. We'll make an amendment because they aren't doing it like this. They're using it to actually maintain the system. That's not what they're doing. And we get the information that that's not what they're doing from their bond documents. And so for 2 years, in response to one of the folks who spoke, for 2 years, we had to hear people talk about how this would endanger their water system. They'd say that to the legislature. I'm happy that that wasn't repeated by elected officials before this body because I was fully prepared to file an ethics complaint. You can't stand in public as an elected official and just lie. And so I'm happy that a current elected official wouldn't do that because everybody can say anything, but this is the point where everyone has to have receipts. You're recognized, Commissioner Regalado.
Thank you. So two things. I think transparency is always good. In the case of the cities impacted by this, I would recommend the process that we had with water and sewer, which is putting together a 5-year plan to figure out how you're going to make it work, right? So we had to do that, and we had to adjust accordingly. In our case, compounded by ocean outfall, and the consent decree and a series of other things, right? But there is something to be said for being able to forecast into several years if you have a dependency on a fund. Or in the case of water and sewer, we did stop the transfers by the county into the general fund, but we still had to make up for the money that we had lost historically, right? For infrastructure needs that were not being met. So we were able to accelerate our capital plan and then adjust accordingly. And by the way, to the folks that are here, that our water rate, because of that, is literally polemic every single year. Because for a very long time, people were used to, just doing whatever without having these difficult conversations as to how this system works and what we need to do in order to maintain it. So you can, work and put together a forecasting model that allows you to course correct. I put that out there as something that you should all consider. My second concern is about the impact that this is going to have on water and sewer. So right now we're saying you're going to disclose to water and sewer. Now, what I don't want is I don't want water and sewer to be responsible for auditing, for like the babysitting of this. They're going to get the documents, but I just want to know like what is the behind the scenes on this? Is the clerk going to take it? Is the auditor going to take it? Or are we going to take up resources on the water and sewer side? Because the other thing that has been brought up is this is going to slow them down when they go through their projects and stuff. So I just want to be clear as to how much water and sewer is doing and who's picking up the other stuff. Are we creating this accountability system within water and sewer? And if so, we have to talk about that and the costs of that. Or are we going to share it within multiple departments? And then how quickly is that going to move, and what is expected in terms of the timing?
Roy, I think we're doing this in water sewer, right? But Commissioner, just a couple of points that I would add. I, when you were speaking initially about having a 5-year plan to phase in, square peg, round hole. Square peg, round hole. We had to do that for our water system because it was in our water rates. And so when we wanted to actually when we had to stop the taking the money and switching, we had to figure out how we were going to still do those capital projects. So if it was in their water rate, that'd be one thing. This is completely independent of their water rate. Yeah. So I'm okay with them coming up with a 5-year forecast, but it has nothing to do with the water system.
Right. No, and by the way, I mean, we were, with the reason that we, like I said, we had ocean outfall and we had the consent decree. So we had an obligation to catch up on the infrastructure side, and we were not getting that money back from the general fund because the prior board decided that wasn't the solution, right? So, we were, a few days ago, we were having a conversation about, how we don't want to take money from fire, right? But the county took money from water and sewer for decades, and no one ever raised their hand and said, "Oh, we're gonna pay them back." That was not a thing. So then we had to create a forecast. I just mentioned it because as a tool, like this doesn't have to be done all at once. But yes, I agree with you. A different situation, and they currently do not have a mandate in terms of their infrastructure. And I bring up that point because we are not mandating them to invest at any sort of rate in their infrastructure. We're just asking for transparency as to where the funding goes.
Yeah, this is about specifically not even their base water rate. So it's ironic because we ended up talking about water in this item, but this is not actually about a water rate. Because the 25% surcharge that they charge everybody outside the municipality, including people in UMSA, including people in Commissioner Steinberg's district, including people in Commissioner Bastien's district, it goes into their general fund. It has nothing to do with the water system. They're just using the water system as a mechanism to take money from those residents. And so the question was asked how we administer it. As a practical matter, if they have the agreements with the cities, they just have to give the agreements and it's done. We're good. Now, if they don't have the agreements with the cities, it has to be reported to this commission. And then this commission would act. And what I would suggest is, because we have the authority to act, I would suggest something simply just like a consent decree. Hey, you can't charge this unless you get this. Because I believe that it's appropriate, and sometimes a surcharge is appropriate. I don't disagree with the idea of a surcharge. If there's an added expense for a public utility to provide services beyond their boundaries, I don't think that the taxpayers of the host municipality should be made to pay for that. I don't disagree with the concept of a surcharge. I disagree with the concept of a surcharge that goes into someone's general fund and doesn't relate to the services that are being provided, because that's when you stop acting like a public utility and you start acting like a private utility.
I understand that, but my point is to hear from Roy, the director, as to what is the level of review and what's going to happen if what is submitted falls short. So what's going to be triggered, right? And who is going to be involved in that? And what's the timing associated with that?
Commissioner, assuming this passes, we have a compliance team at the Water and Sewer Department that would be charged with reviewing these submissions, and if they're all submitted, then it's a check of a box, and that's the end of it. If somebody doesn't comply, we report back to the commission, is how I understand it's written, that they're out of compliance.
That's correct, Roy. And then inside of this, we have civil penalties. I suspect that we will issue decree orders. That's what I think is going to happen. But just by way of example, Homestead, having conversations with them, they had some issues. They went to their commission. They proposed a resolution. The resolution said, hey, we're keeping this all in the water system, and we're doing this here and this used just to expand their system, and we're good with that because it's not meant to punish people who are actually doing the right thing. It's meant to protect people who don't have any other recourse. And I think that's an important component to everyone who would stand up and I don't take any shelter from the idea that I will never let this go. I'm never going to let this go because they're charging our residents, and our residents literally have no recourse. The only recourse they have is built into the statute is that the city who is providing the service is required to have an agreement with the city beyond their boundaries that's receiving the service. Because when they initially created the statute, they realized that otherwise it would be taxation without representation. And so when we fail to act, when the legislature fails to act, what we're saying is that the people who are being charged literally have no recourse. That's it. And that can't be an acceptable outcome. People saying, well, it's not our job. I saw the governor's veto message, which he said we should handle locally. But the truth is, I think that was a cop-out. I think that was a cop-out. But this is us handling it locally. Commissioner Higgins, you recognize?
Yeah, thank you for the substitute item. So my understanding is that any municipality, I mean, obviously, if you're operating a utility, you have some costs and you can charge a surcharge. You don't have to charge 25%, correct? You could charge less than that. Okay. So as long as you're using that surcharge money to just continue to maintain, upgrade the water and sewer system of that utility, you don't have to file this plan. Essentially, you just sort of say, this is what we're doing. 100% of the money is going back into the system. It's utility that's running for itself. It's a pseudo-proprietary fund. Is that correct? So whatever they charge on the the surcharge, whether it's 10% or 12% or 8% or 25%, as long as that money is being used, you just tell the county we're using it within the system. It's not going anywhere else, and then you don't really have to file the plan, or the plan is very simple.
Well, you don't have to, you never have to file a plan necessarily.
The agreement.
The agreement is not something we can ever waive.
Okay.
Because the agreement is required right now by Florida statute. The agreement is a non-negotiable. The agreement is required. The fact that they don't have an agreement, that's not our problem necessarily. That's really a them problem. But what I've been willing to say is, especially the people providing the UMSA, so because I'm sympathetic to the fact that the county regulates water and sewer throughout its entirety, from the Everglades to the Atlantic, all the way, from Florida City to county line. The county is in charge of water and sewer. We put those services out, Commissioner, but in some instances we've gone to water providers and say, hey, we'd like you to do this area because we don't want to extend our services. So in those instances where we've actually gone to people, I think there is an inherent agreement. But I'm willing to formalize that because we've asked them to actually provide the service. Okay. So that would be, but those things are things that can be worked out.
And it, certainly, I know we've eliminated all marketing expenditures around this because we don't get to charge a surcharge, but water is life. And it unnerves me a little bit that we would take something that people can't live without and turn that into a profit center that could be used for whatever. I'm making it up, paving of roads or, other municipal services. And it doesn't seem fair, but it also allows them to comply with state law. I mean, it does seem like this is something that we should raise awareness of at the state level. I mean, we have people, I mean, municipalities have their own choice. They could figure out if they want to spend the money to have their own water and sewer system. Do they want to invest to connect to the counties? I mean, I realize it's expensive and it's hard and it takes time, right? But fundamentally, municipalities could make a different choice if they wanted to. But our UMSA residents are being, we have one part of UMSA paying more than the other part of UMSA, and that does seem, I don't know, inequitable. And I certainly know the residents of Commissioner Bastian's districts are not the most affluent people living in Miami-Dade County, so it is upsetting to see them paying more than whatever people in Pinecrest. No offense to our beloved Pinecresters. But those families struggle to make ends meet a lot more than folks in other parts of the county. So it just, I mean, I realize what you're trying to do is just comply with state law, but fundamentally it seems as if there's a problem with the state law on that. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Steinberg.
Okay, so I'm glad we're not having this discussion at 4 a.m. Can I tell you that? Okay, look, I'm not an attorney, but at first blush, it feels to me like county overreach. Just that's how it feels to me. I will not be supporting this today. I do plan on sitting with our water and sewer department and with our attorneys before it does come back to the commission.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank you for your leadership on bringing this item. I know this is an issue that's important to your residents in your community and beyond the boundaries of your district. So thank you for your leadership on this. I do have a few questions to whomever would like to approach on behalf of the city of North Miami Beach, whether it's Kendall, Mr. Coffey, or an elected official, because I would really like to get an understanding of what the opposition is to the ordinance that is before the body this morning. Because, and I took notes as the speakers approached, when we have very experienced attorneys approach the body and make comments like this is running afoul of state law and legally it is not viable, that triggers to me that someone is ramping up for a potential lawsuit, let's say, for example. And so I would like a clear articulation on the record before us this morning of what exactly in 1G1 and its substitute is being alleged to be somehow out of the bounds of the law.
Good morning, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. We're not trying to be litigious. We're putting out facts and, counter to what the chair has presented thus far, facts that we believe to be true, that we've spoken with Miami Gardens in regards to this issue. We've gone before the governor's office, expressed the same concerns. So we're not trying to be litigious. We're just trying to protect and be in the best position for the residents of North Miami Beach, given the fact of the investment going back almost 75 years that this utility has been within our stewardship. And as the reason that we're bringing up the state statute is that the state statute pretty much dictates how we primarily operate in regards to the surcharge. And I believe the county commission and through the county attorney, given the fact of what was lobbied last year and up to this prior state legislative session, they knew they needed a bill because this is a state governed issue. This is, I believe, and many of my commissioners and stakeholders of our city believe this is a way of circumventing that. And also, I understand that the chair of the committee is very passionate for the city. I've always been open, as well as my entire commission, to work this out. Kind of embarrassing in a weird way that, as close as we are, we have to meet in these circumstances. Because I can talk about meetings that I've had directly with the chair, and I've sat right across from a board table, and it was, how you say, one way, dictating that way. You guys are a bigger commission, for for all intents and purposes, a lot of aspects of the way we operate a municipality, some of that is dictated to you guys. But in this issue, this is dictated by the state. This has always been an issue, and that's why there was a bill that was proposed and it was vetoed out. And I just ask that we look at the procedural from a legal standpoint and how what the ripple effects might be if the county propounds itself to be in a way circumventing state law and in putting itself as a governing body where state law doesn't really put it out for them to do so.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. And I didn't mean to cut you off. Are you finished, or did you have additional?
No. But like I said, it's been said a bunch of times that we're not willing to speak or to talk with our sister city. We consider the city of Miami Gardens a beautiful community. We have intermixing of families and what have you. This is a feud that's been going on way too long. I've asked, I've reached out. I can speak to several meetings to try to work this out. But at the end of the day, what has been ongoing thus far is take it or leave it type of situation. And that's not a negotiation, that's a being held up.
Thank you. Mr. Coffey, you approached. Is there something
Yes,
additional that you'd like to add? Because my question is very specific. I'd like for you to point to what in 1G1 runs afoul of state law the way that you represented earlier at the podium.
I did not represent, and I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to clarify, that 1G1 per se violated state law.
You said it's a classic attempt to run afoul of state law. It is legally not viable.
We're referring to what we believe is an attempt to undermine or undercut or reduce the surcharge, which is provided for the statute. If I indicated that I thought on its face it is illegal, that's a conclusion I haven't reached. We're looking at that.
Okay.
What we
Thank you for clarifying.
wondered is that whether it's a direct or indirect attempt to reduce, minimize, or dislodge the 25% surcharge, that would be an issue.
Okay, and where in the statute is it triggering that concern of yours? Because again, I'm reading and I don't even see any reference to a effort, direct or indirect, to somehow chip away at that 25% surcharge. This is simply not circumventing state law. It sounds like it's reiterating it. It sounds like it's codifying it at the local level, which is exactly what our governor directed us to do. So I don't have a dog in this fight. I obviously have a tremendous amount of deference to my colleague. Each of our votes are completely independent. I'm giving you an opportunity to persuade me as to what it is that you take issue with in this.
Well, for example, the minimum standards seems to be an important element that is in there that the mayor is to enforce. We don't know what that means, and maybe others can clarify what minimum standards is. Normally, the law would consider that language too vague or too general to have content. But what we are looking at is what we think is an unnecessary layer of bureaucracy. We all know, the Public Records Act allows anybody in this room and beyond to get any of the records that we're talking about from the city of North Miami Beach. This seems to be instituting a regulatory regime, and we're simply noting that regulatory regime, we haven't opined in its present form that it's illegal. I give you a cautionary note about whatever minimum standards may mean, but it's something that we're watching very closely because the 25% surcharge is clearly something that is a matter of state law and that the county has no authority to reduce.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Do you all acknowledge that 18019 requires an agreement between the municipalities outside of your geographic area in order to charge the surcharge?
I don't agree with the way it has been phrased. I'm studying that law in response to the chair's observation. We'll have an opinion on that, but as of now, I don't agree with the interpretation that's been offered here, which seems to suggest that there's some significant gap in the authority of the North Miami Beach.
To our attorneys, does 18019 require municipalities that are providing a service outside of their geographical boundaries to have a contract outside of their geographical boundaries?
Commissioner, I think the fairest answer is just to read directly from the statute. 180.19 subsection 1 says, a municipality which constructs any works as are authorized by this chapter may permit any other municipality and the owners or association of owners of lands or lands outside of its corporate limits or within the limits of any other municipality to connect with or use the utilities mentioned in this chapter upon such terms and conditions as may be agreed between such municipalities and the owners or association of owners of such lands, outside lots or lands.
Okay, that doesn't seem unclear, opaque, or vague in any way to me. And 1G1 before me clearly reiterates that, if not codifies it locally, and specifically states consistent with the requirements of Section 18019 Florida statutes. So I am not convinced, nor am I persuaded regarding the opposition argument to this proposal. I'm going to go a step further and ask about the civil fines and penalties should compliance not be met, because I would like to know, what is the financial yield? How much are you, what is the aggregate of the surcharge that's being charged by North Miami Beach? What is the dollar amount? What is it that you all are collecting on this 25% surcharge? Do you have an agreement with do you have an agreement consistent with what our attorneys just read, that 18019? Does that agreement exist?
From my understanding, I can give, I need to come back with you on that one issue.
Okay.
However,
Because you're going to have to, right?
no.
Assuming
Well,
that
I mean,
passes.
it's a state statute. It's a state statute, right? Correct me and then I don't know how, from an enforcement standpoint, does that fall to the county to enforce?
No, that's not the question. The question
No,
is,
but
do
I'm
you
just-
have an agreement currently? Is there any agreements that you have outside of your municipal boundaries regarding this 25% surcharge? As you stand before us today, do you have that agreement?
Well, from my understanding, I can't confirm nor deny that. But when the county attorney was reading it, I heard a persuade. It said may, right? It doesn't say shall or may. It says may. Can you repeat, please?
No.
You do know that's not how this works, right?
I was just asking because he.
No, hold on, time out. I know you're just asking, and now I'm just speaking.
Okay.
That's not how that works. The commissioner's asking you a question. The commissioner, if you can't answer it, that's fine. And if she wants to ask the county attorney to read the statute again, yeah. So that's not how that
I
works.
apologize.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank
I
you.
apologize,
And thank you
Commissioner
to our
Cohen.
chairman. He's perfectly within his right to do what he just did, because again, I'm asking you a question, and the question is, you as the representative of the city of North Miami Beach, which I asked for the most appropriate representative to approach. It's a simple question.
No. I didn't want to misspeak. I did not
Sure.
want to misspeak.
Do you have
And
the agreement currently as you stand here before us today?
If we do, if we don't do, I can confirm that subsequent to this meeting.
Appreciate the answer.
I
Okay.
will.
So do we have a number? What is it that the city of North Miami Beach is collecting on this 25% surcharge? What is the dollar amount that is being placed in their general fund? Does anybody know?
Oh, I know.
If anybody knows, I would like to know, and I'd like for it to be on the record.
Would either of you like to answer?
To my understanding, Commissioner was reaching to staff to, I guess.
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were directing it to me.
Yeah, you.
From my understanding, there's a certain amount that goes to our general fund. It's been like that for quite some time. And if I can expound a little bit, Commissioner Regalado, as you pointed out, some of the history in regards to how this great body has operated with utilities you guys have had.
Wait, hold on. I'm just gonna need you to answer the question. Do you have the number or not? Do you know what the total amount for the 25% surcharge is or not?
No, but I can get it for you.
All right. Well, let me help you out. Yinka, do you have the numbers?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yinka Majagudumi, Office of Commissioner Auditor. According to the 2023 annual comprehensive financial statements of the city of North Miami Beach, they had estimated about $9.9 million.
9.9 million for that one calendar year?
Yes.
And that was in 2023?
Yes.
9.9 million, that's only the 25% surcharge?
That is correct.
That's not the aggregate of the water collected, just the surcharge of 25% is $9.9 million?
That is correct.
Okay, so our fee as a penalty for non-compliance, so should the city of North Miami Beach thumb its nose and say, we are not going to present an agreement because they have a disagreement about our ordinance for one reason or another, the fee that we are charging them is a whopping $500? That is not a deterrent.
No.
That is not, I'm not sure. So my concern is it says failure to meet the minimum standards of this is only $500. I would implore us to look at a more consequential amount to the extent that it's appropriate, because if they're collecting 9 million on the surcharge and they choose not to comply, I would elect not to comply every year if the only thing I was being charged was $500. I mean, the math on that is clear and it's simple. I'm sure we can revisit that at another time. I am done. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And just so we're clear, it's going to be $500 per time. So you all don't just, you have agreements with cities, but you charge people individually. Every time you assess that 25% surcharge, you're going to be subject to a $500 fine. Per account. Yes.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah, per account. And so, but I don't want to actually charge the city of North Miami Beach a fine. I want them just to get the agreement. And I don't want them to get the agreement with just Miami Gardens. I want them to get the agreement with everyone outside of their boundaries that they actually service. One of the things that I did appreciate about the governor's memo is he was like, well, you're just fixing it for Miami Gardens. And so I said, you know what? Governor DeSantis was right. I shouldn't just fix it for Miami Gardens. Let me fix it for everyone. And so you all, with your successful lobbying, now I'm fixing it for everyone. Everyone gets a fix now. Yinka, you said it was how much? $9 million. What percentage of their general fund is that?
Chairman, you give us 5 minutes, we'll confirm that number.
Yeah,
It was a
'cause
very low
I
percentage.
think it ended up being something like 10% of their general fund, which explains why they're fighting. Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out a few things. Number one, you already have an agreement with the county. You have an interlocal. That interlocal may or may not include some language about water and sewer. But my understanding is that you do not have an agreement as expressly stated by the statute. So that's why we're having this conversation, because if you had an agreement, then you wouldn't be against having an agreement. So let's just clear that up. That being said, your attorney is within his right to challenge the county's authority to enter into, to now effectuate this in the statute. Okay, so that being said, if at some point you took money out of the general fund to pay for infrastructure, so if your argument is 10 years ago, right, we didn't have enough money in water and sewer, so we took money out of the general fund, and what we're doing is paying back that money, you are not prohibited from demonstrating that in this agreement. So even though we're focused on what is happening in this fiscal period as you enter into this agreement, nothing stops you from doing an analysis beyond that point to prove your point. We're not, correct, Commissioner? Correct? You're not prohibiting them from explaining should they want to go down some rabbit hole.
Commissioner, I'll respond to that. If you just yield for a second, I think that you're right. In theory, this is the challenge that I think that not just North Miami Beach will have, but other folks will have. The reason why the statute allows for 25% is because current ratepayers can't pay for expansion of services for future ratepayers.
We do with that on our bonds.
We deal with that on our bonds, yes. So they couldn't do that. So if a city wanted to actually provide water beyond their boundaries, they couldn't necessarily do revenue bonds to do it. They would have to actually use the good faith and credit of the residents of the city or take money out of their general fund to do that. So it was always appropriate in that instance. The challenge from that is after that initial expenditure, everything's covered in the rate. So after the initial expenditure, everything's in the rate. So they could show that, but then they'd have to go back to like 1940 or whenever it was they purchased the system, and they'd have to show that specifically relative to Miami Gardens, that they'd had to, where they never had to expand service to because that's where the plant is. The plant's in Miami Gardens.
I understand, and again, not to go down some rabbit hole of how you value infrastructure, but I will tell you on our water and sewer side, when we provide the rate that we charge municipalities for the pass-through, we do it with an analysis of what it cost us to provide them with that water. So like we do that every single year, and we provide that documentation, right? So I'm not saying that we're asking anybody to do something that we don't already do. And one of the challenges that we have with septic to sewer is that we have to go out to those communities and say, look, we can't use our bond money. And there is no appetite to use general fund money. So we end up creating special districts and having those residents pay in full for that, the ability to be part of this water system on the wastewater side. So in terms of what happens next, this is exactly why I asked if there was going to be an audit function, what was going to be the follow-up. I mean, what we're talking about is this is going to go under the compliance department of water and sewer, but what if there is a disagreement? At that point, I think we need to figure out what happens next, right?
It comes back to the commission without committee review, right? It comes back to us without a committee review. And just like the state of Florida issues consent decrees on us, we decide at that point what it is we want to do. It's interesting because I disagree with our attorneys a lot on what the authority of the county is. We didn't actually disagree on this. I gave them the problem, and they came back with this as a framework. There's no real disagreement, and I appreciate Mr. Coffey and his legal prowess. There's no real disagreement that the county has
Water.
the authority to regulate water and sewer throughout the county.
We are a regional government.
Yeah, so there's no disagreement there. There's no disagreement that the county actually implements state statutes all the time. We've done it on this board. We've said, hey, we're going to conform this language to meet the state statute because state statute changed to say this, this, and this. We implement state statutes all the time. So I mean, I appreciate what he's saying. I understand he's hired to say it. But there's no disagreement about whether we actually, I'm not uncertain about our authority here. I'm very cautious not to overuse it. I don't want to overuse it because I don't like it when the state does it, so I don't want to do it. That's why we're not saying anything definitively. We're giving them a chance. So when they say they want to work it out with the city of Miami Gardens and they want to work it out with, I guess, Bal Harbor, and they're going to work it out with everybody they provide water to, and they're going to work it out with the county for UMSA, they have the opportunity, everyone has the opportunity to work it out. You have the opportunity to have those conversations. But that statute has been that statute for well over, I guess, 20 years now. Maybe 30 years. That requirement has been in place for 30 years. They've been charging people a surcharge pursuant to the statute for over 30 years. And so maybe it's time we put a human face on this. There are people in fixed incomes in condos in her district. There are people in single family homes in my district who are paying the surcharge and who do not have a recourse. Right now, they haven't had a recourse. So I'm not going to overly burden you or impose it, but you have to get the agreements now because you were supposed to have it already. And to the question, to Commissioner Cohen-Higgins' question, I don't know whether you have agreements. I do know that we issued a public records request maybe 2 years ago. When was that, Jose? For the agreements. And we didn't get a response. So if you show up with an agreement, there is going to be a different point of contention.
And I just want to, again, I think if they're going to have to create documents, if we're going to have to create documents, that's like a different thing. But I think what we're talking about now is known information and the negotiation of an agreement. Now, if you're going to have to go and figure out what you spent in past years and move that forward, that's fine. But you are not denied the ability to make that argument. You're not, it's not a snapshot of this particular year is my point. It's not a discussion. It's not a discussion. I'm just pointing out that you have the ability to do that. You can say, look, we believe that the reason that we're doing this is because 5 years ago or 6 years ago or 10 years ago, we purchased this infrastructure and this is how we're paying that back. But there is only a finite amount of infrastructure. So if this is a pattern or practice that you have been doing every year and you're not tying that back to infrastructure, then that's a you problem, right? That's not about us. But again, my understanding of this is right now, it's just disclosure. We're just asking for a disclosure piece.
Yeah. So can I just clarify something, Mr. Chair? I just want to make sure with the attorneys. So we're just saying there has to be an agreement, which is exactly what state law says, yes or no.
That's correct.
In that agreement, they can do whatever they want with the money, yes or no.
Under this ordinance, that's correct.
So what we're just saying is be transparent. There's going to be some cities that are going to say we're doing the right thing. We're not overcharging you for water. We're just going to charge what we need to make sure we keep the system running and every now and then fix it up. And then at least the residents are going to know, and these other municipalities will have clarity on the fact that they're funding services in another town rather than water and sewer. And if those municipalities decide to pivot to another choice, they know what that means. So I guess this is a lot of sound and fury signifying nothing. Is that what we figured out over here?
Well,
to quote Faulkner in the middle of a committee meeting, but anyway.
I always love quoting Faulkner, but just with a caveat, people can't just actually choose to go to someone else.
No, I realize there's a huge expense.
Oh, no, it's
and
not even that.
Virtually impossible.
It's not just the expense. They have to sign a release. They have to sign a release. And so it's not, because when we became somewhere along the line, I think, Roy, you all or Jess, you all found the handwritten agreement or something where essentially the county allowed for the divvying up of who would provide water service in which area.
So
and so
transparency.
It is. And so if the answer was let's move everybody in those other areas to Miami-Dade water, it would be easy, except they've bonded contemplative of those revenues. So not the surcharge, the actual water fee. So they have revenue bonds that's predicated on the water fees, not the surcharge. But they can't, if we take the water fees away, then they can't satisfy the bonds. So there is no real ability to move. So the people who are paying the 25% surcharge are held captive no matter what. They previously offered, hey, why don't you all just haphazardly just go back to the county? We investigated that. We could have our bond engineers get into it, but we know that their bond engineers are going to say no, because we read the bond engineer's report that talks about the revenue bonds that are outstanding. So the way revenue bonds work, because that's, Mr. Mayor, I see you looking perplexed. The way revenue bonds work is you actually get a loan and you essentially put down the revenue that you receive from the system as collateral to the loan. Bond engineers and bond attorneys don't let you say, oh, you know what, by the way, we're giving this away, because then they have no security. So I wouldn't put that city in that situation. That's why the solution isn't, hey, let's just remove all of their customers. We had to find something that was within the statutory framework, and quite frankly, that was fiscally responsible, not just for the county, but for North Miami Beach. And that's why this ordinance looks this way. And so I'll move the item.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything else? All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Quinn Higgins? 4. Commissioner Regalado?
4.
Commissioner Steinberg? Vice Chairwoman Higgins? Chairman Gilbert?
I vote yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coffey. Mr. Attorney, you're up. What we got next?
Item 1G2 is ordinance relating to zoning and environmental protection, amending sections 33-1, 33-36.1, 33-279, 24-5, 24-18, 24-43.1, 15-1, 15-17, 15-17.1, and 15-18 of the Code of Miami-Dade County, Florida, creating Section 24-47.1 of the Code of Miami-Dade County, Florida, providing for administrative zoning approval process for certain composting uses in the AU zoning district under certain circumstances and subject to certain conditions and requirements, revising definitions, revising provisions related to zoning, administrative adjustments to include certain setbacks related to composting in the AU zoning district, revising requirements related to uses that shall be served by public water and public sanitary sewers, and creating exceptions for composting facilities that have an approved environmental control plan, creating provisions related to composting facilities and environmental control plans, revising provisions related to operating permits, and creating provisions related to community composting facilities, providing for preliminary operating permit approval pursuant to Chapter 24 under certain circumstances for composting facilities, creating Department of Solid Waste Management hauler permit for composting haulers and providing for requirements for such composting haulers, requiring report and recommendations related to solid waste hauler permits, requiring expedited review under certain circumstances, requiring composting solutions to be negotiated and, if possible, included in future solid waste procurements to the extent consistent with applicable law, making technical changes, providing severability, inclusion in the code, and an effective date. Item 1G2 is a public hearing item and cross-reference with item 2D, so the committee may considering those items together. 1G2 is a public hearing item.
All right, thank you. The chair stepped out, so I'll line the cards up. If you all would come up and line up at both podiums so we can get through as quickly as possibly, since I think we might lose the room at 1. Mr. Chad Friedman, Priscilla Carolyn Schmidt, Martin Motes, Ari de Swart, I think, Francisco Torres, Stephen Ledner, Lynette Sobel, and Jocelyn Gilfair. Okay. Some people don't write like they went to Catholic school like I did. So it's hard to read. All right, let's get started. Mr. Friedman, please, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Chad Friedman of offices 2800 Pontstown Boulevard. I'm here on behalf of the Village of Pinecrest. I wanted to thank Commissioner Higgins, Commissioner Regalado for working with us. We have a municipal compost program. We have no objection to the ordinance. We would just ask that maybe between now and second reading, there could be some additional question and answer sessions, that making the staff available for our operator and other small compost operators to maybe understand better a little more of the ordinance. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
For the record, I'm Martin Motes al Sur, pero aquí con los gringos soy Martin Motes, and I reside at 25,000 Southwest 162 Avenue, and I am a member of your Agricultural Practice Board. The board has approved of this ordinance and in a recent meeting, and there's been a great deal of interest on the part of the agricultural community in this, and in the process there's been a great deal of input, and that input has been codified and has been sent to each of you, I hope, and I hope that as this ordinance is implemented, that that Durham takes into consideration all the special features of our particular geology and hydrology here, and relies upon the resources of the University of Florida TREC. In general, this is one of the most valuable things that can be done. This will have lasting effects, greater than probably anything else that you will do as commissioners. This will be a generational thing. We can change the actual composition of the soils of South Florida to benefit the environment and to save vast amounts of money for the citizenry of Dade County. And basically, we're talking about turning Dade County into the highest climax vegetation in the county, the hardwood hammocks. All of Dade County could become a hardwood hammock if this thing is fully implemented and we change the character of our soils. Thank you very much for doing this. It's a wonderful thing, and it's a great thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Priscilla Carolyn Schmidt, and I live at 1595 Northeast 141st Street, North Miami, Florida. And I just want to say, well, this ordinance is a significant improvement from the previous draft, and we are in favor of its general intention. Today, I'm here respectfully requesting an industry forum between composting companies that will and the relevant departments or companies will need approvals from before its next reading, specifically the Department of Solid Waste, Zoning, and DERM. We have seen the proposed fees in item 2D, and those fees are reasonable, but this ordinance does leave many questions unanswered when it comes to the specific approval requirements and process from the departments I've mentioned. And we are also very unclear about the section 1518 regarding the fees that we will now need to charge customers. So we would love some clarity on those unanswered questions we have. And if possible, we would also appreciate clarity on when we will be able to resume selling our compost as we begin the application process for the proposed operating permit. Fertile Earth Worm Farm has lost thousands of dollars in sales to remain in compliance since March of this year. And as some of you may know, August and September is the beginning of our growing season here in Miami, and our customers are eager to get our high quality and fully cured compost for their home gardens. As always, our commitment remains in alignment with DERM and all county officials concerned with environmental safety. Above all, we are tree-hugging environmentalists who care deeply about Mother Earth, her groundwater, and her air quality. We are also passionate about food security and the ability for residents to have the healthiest soil possible to grow their food to feed their families and communities. As I mentioned in my first BCC meeting here a few months ago, I am a mother and a healer first and foremost. I would not grow my own food in anything other than locally created compost, and I would love the ability to let our other mothers and fathers have the same access to the foundation of true health, which is healthy soil. Thank you.
Dr. Sobel?
Hello, my name is Dr. Lynette Sobel, 15150 Southwest 264th Street, Homestead. I am here to say thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Regalado. Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. This is by far the best draft that we have seen. It does address the issues with groundwater contamination, et cetera. In general, while we do agree, we know the devil's in the details, and there are a lot of things that are not answered. And one thing that is concerning is that many things have left to the discretion of the director, which we're not exactly sure what that means, if they will have any guidelines to direct them as to what their decisions will be. There's also some questions that we have, such as if we're going to be required to comply with being considered a resource recovery management, as it says that we're supposed to comply with all of that. My concern is that my biggest concern with the previous drafts was that we were required to follow the same rules as a landfill or a incinerator. And we are not a landfill, we are not an incinerator, and we should not be subject to those rules and regulations. So as long as this draft keeps farmers farming and their normal operations out of it, and as long as there are sensible regulations that do not require this resource recovery permit, I am in favor of it, but I would love some clarification. I'd also like to understand how the bond ordinance is going to affect this, because we were told that there will be a limit of 30 to 43,000 tons per year of organics that we could possibly manage. And if Commissioner Regalado's request that 40% be recycled or composted and not incinerated, I think that that should be addressed, because that number should be 1 million tons, not 30 to 40,000 tons. Let us help the county tackle this waste management crisis that we have. Please do not tie our hands behind our back. Thank you so much.
Okay. Mr. Torres?
Thank you. I'm Francisco Torres, on 2514 Place, Miami Beach. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm a resident of this great county. I'm founder of Compost for Life, a local organization, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. As you may know, Miami-Dade residents generate 9 pounds of trash per person per day, doubling the national average. We're producing too much waste, and roughly 38% are organics that could be composted instead of burned or buried. Our landfills are maxing out, and waste is already being shipped out of the county. That's not sustainable or fiscally smart. Composting is critical infrastructure, just like recycling. Advancing this ordinance will help Miami-Dade build a local resilient system that diverts thousands of tons of food scraps from the landfill, support our network of local farmers, produces and regenerates soil for parks and recreation spaces, community gardens, and our farmers, reduces greenhouse emissions and air pollution, and engage residents and businesses in a practical, proven solution. This ordinance doesn't add red tape, and it creates a clear right-sized pathway for community-scale operators to work safely and responsibly, aligning with the standards with a scale operation, encouraging innovation, and protecting public health and the environment. This morning, you should have received a record packet packet of support letters from local businesses, schools, and families actively participating in composting service, including the University of Miami, the Vizcaya Garden Museum, even Mayor Javi Fernandez from South Miami, Commissioner Demian Pardo. This message is consistent. Composting works and reduces waste, it builds community, and it keeps valuable resources local. On behalf of the family and schools, I respectfully ask you to move this ordinance forward. Thank you for your leadership in making our county more sustainable for the well-being of our community and our environment. Let's work with nature, not against it.
Mr. Leitner?
Stephen Leitner, 1130 102nd Street, Bay Harbor Islands. Thank you, Commissioner Higgins and co-sponsor Regalado, for tackling community and agricultural composting and crafting a straightforward ordinance. While some on our BCC claim that we cannot compost our way out of our solid waste landfill capacity crisis, that claim does not recognize the following. Municipal or commercial composting can be expected to divert 50 to 60% of our waste stream from landfill in 2 to 5 years at substantial savings. A waste incinerator will conservatively take 8 to 10 years to become operational and cost closer to $2 billion now that the cheapest sites have been eliminated. Waste to energy is marketing mischaracterization. Trash incinerators are inefficient and dirty generators of electricity. Pollution control scrubbers, monitoring are costly compared to fossil fuel power plants. Not that I'm advocating for any power plant. For every ton of solid waste combusted, a ton of CO2 is emitted. 1/3 of the volume burned results in highly toxic ash, which must be landfilled, often needing specially permitted and costly sites. Proposed 4,000 ton per day Dade incinerator will be the largest greenhouse gas emitter polluter in the state, even if state of the art. Alluded to carbon capture and storage, if it becomes technically possible, has not been budgeted. The present national administration.
Excuse me, 1 second. Is this about composting?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. All right, thank you, Claude.
The present national administrator's policy of dismantling the EPA and its climate and public health disregard are unlikely to survive in following administrations, requiring costly incinerator upgrades before completion. Our current Board of County Commissioners, aided by capable county administrators, already doing it and can lead us into a sustainable future. Thank you.
Talking.
Steve,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have some local theater companies you can apply to. All right, Ms. Gill.
Good afternoon. Jocelyn Guilfoyle, Executive Director, Dade County Farm Bureau. And our board would like to support this proposed composting legislation currently under consideration. Our board has reviewed the proposed language and its implications for local agriculture, environmental sustainability, and soil health, as we are in full support of this legislation as is written. We believe it represents a positive and necessary step forward to encourage responsible land stewardship in our region. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one last card. Ari Deswart? Did I miss? Yeah.
My name is Ari Dieswart, 10480 Southwest 139th Street in Miami. I came 40 years ago to this country from the Netherlands, and I was surprised that I came here and I couldn't get rid of anything of my waste for recycling. So I had to step back many, many years. It's time for this county to step up to the plate. Instead of building big incinerators, get rid of your stuff in a different way. There are many options. Make it not too difficult for all these people that want to do it. And that's my thought of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swart. All right, Mr. Chair, over to you.
All right, thank you. Seeing no more cards, public hearing on this item is now closed. This item, Ms. Higgins, move your item.
I'm happy to move my item. I just want to thank all the, Charles and all the folks from the ag industry who provided some extremely valuable input. I also want to, we don't often comment you, Chief Coley, but without your assistance in helping me navigate the bond ordinance, DERM, solid waste, we would not have come up with this nuanced thing. And so I really appreciate all your efforts. Colleagues, there are 2 companies that are doing this now. As we go through this process, each company has different land, different water issues. They're going to have to go through individually with the process. Chief Coley has promised me that we will get, if they submit their paperwork, we will find a way to get their permits issued as quickly as humanly possible in a couple of months so that we can get composting to be part of our solution. And as we all know, our bond ordinance is holding us back, or our bond holders are holding us back. We have enough composting capacity within the bond to be able to do what we need to do naturally for about the next 2 to 3 years. And after that, we need to be renegotiating the bond. And quite frankly, it might behoove us to pay a higher interest rate in order to do some of these waste diversion issues. So with that, I move the item.
Mr. Chair.
It'll be I'll second it.
Second it, yeah.
Second by Regalado. Okay.
Mr. Chair, you may want the implementing order, which is just, ready to go. That's 2D. They could go together.
Well, we can move them together. Okay, Steinberg had her hand up, and then Regalado, and then Cohen-Higgins.
Thank you. Great ordinance. I just have a quick question. I want a clarification about one thing. There are some municipalities that currently have composting already. Would this prevent them from being able to continue those services? Because here it's very specific as to the areas, and it doesn't contemplate for some that are already having those services.
Yeah, this ordinance would not prevent someone that's not in this zone, and it wouldn't prevent one of your cities from their current activity.
Okay, with that then, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you. I might have a co-sponsor request as we were working on the other one. And I want to thank you for the reset. I think this was a better way because we got jammed up on the other one. I think this one's very smart. I know that you've gotten a bunch of calls. I've gotten a bunch of calls about it. I don't know if we can have something before it goes to the BCC. I don't think we have time for that. But I do think we could have a forward-facing webinar where they send us email questions and then we just answer it from staff. Because
just to let you know, we've received emails and we're sending them over to the legal representative, and they'll get all their questions answered. But we only have 2 companies that are doing this. They're both uniquely different. Their questions need to be answered separately.
I get that. I think I just, at some point, just to have some forward-facing webinar where we present the ordinance and then we just have staff, and maybe we take some of those emails as examples. I know that we're to death, you and I, with the town halls on this, so I get it. And obviously Pinecrest uses Fertile Earth. Our office pays for that. So we've been in the loop on all that stuff. And I think the way that you handled the DERM and the RER piece is important to the folks who spoke. I don't think we ever eliminate the director's input on it because everything is a unique situation. But I think we dealt with the liners, we dealt with the setbacks, we dealt with a lot of the issues that came up in all those meetings. So I don't think they're new issues. I think it's the same issues that we just continue to rehash. So that would be my only suggestion at some point, to have some sort of forward-facing kind of, I guess, because I think it also makes it easy for our staff when we get questions on it to just send them the webinar, right? And just be like, hey, if you have a question that's not answered here, call us. But otherwise, here's the webinar, and just kind of walk people through it. I think it'll save us a lot of time in terms of our staff and then county staff answering the same questions over and over again.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take a moment to thank and congratulate the maker and the sponsor, Commissioner Higgins. I know this has gone through different iterations, and initially my community in the South had some consternation, and I appreciate the amendments that have been made, and I appreciate the Ag Practices Board and the Farm Bureau and everyone that came to speak, and everyone that constantly comes and shares their interest in composting here in Miami-Dade County. I will admit, this is something that I look forward to your continued leadership on, Commissioner Higgins. I feel like there should be an educational component to composting, because those who know how to do it brilliantly and so well. And then there are others who don't even know what it looks like and what it means to compost and would like to learn. And so to the extent that you're interested in having, I mean, obviously resources are always an issue, but I think more in our community would buy into this and adopt it in their own homes if they knew how to do it. So I know that's a separate conversation for a separate time, but I'm very, very pleased with the ordinance. I'd happy to be listed as not a co-prime, but a co-sponsor if you'll have me. And just thank you for the work, the floating, the round tables, the town halls, everything that you did to get it to this point. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. What?
Just really quick on that, because we do it, even though you compost at home, you end up giving it to these big groups. So I think, we do the education piece with Pinecrest, and we tell people like what to put in there, what not to put in there before they drop off. And again, as long as it doesn't come from the solid waste budget, I'm okay with it. I'm paying it out of my office budget. But we do have programming that already teaches folk how to compost, and we do have the lawn waste one that we give them for like $50. So we do that kind of stuff. So as long as we don't take money from solid waste this year or next year, I'm good for educational pieces. But the other thing that I wanted to tell Commissioner Higgins, we are working with staff for the refinance, because this bond, it's only $30 million, and it really does, it's not a lot of money, and it's very painful. I'm hoping that after this jobs report, they lower the interest rate a little, but if not, we're looking at, we would have so much savings if we were unshackled from this bond. So even if we have to pay an interest rate that's a little bit higher, we're already working on it.
I agree. And
Wait, hold on, you all.
Yeah.
So before we just keep going back and forth without, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Call the roll.
Commissioner Regalado? Yes. Commissioner Steinberg? Yes. Commissioner Quinn Higgins?
4.
Vice Chairwoman Higgins? Yes. Chairman Gilbert?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
It's going to be unanimous, and y'all was going to keep talking.
We'd like to talk about this topic. She's done a great
It's
job.
going to be unanimous, though, but okay.
So I'll move everything except the one you're still worried about on the rest of the agenda if my colleagues agree.
Agree, in second.
I'll agree with that. I just have one thing I would note on 2B, and she isn't here, and so I don't mind moving it on. I don't have a problem with, the park or the historical aesthetic design of the park or us doing the work, but I'm starting to pay much closer attention when people say, administration, do it, and put it in the budget, and if it's not in the budget, just find the money. Especially if those people, I'm really paying attention to that now.
Mr. Chair, I took that up with staff. So Lourdes said that they could do it with planning staff and that there isn't going to be another cost, because I raised the same flag.
Okay.
So they're saying that there's no consultant.
Mr. Regalado, just 1 second. I'm going to vote for this item. There's no consultant, but let's not get lulled into the idea that our staff's time isn't actually.
Agree.
And so it is. I'm okay with that, but for all of these items, and I feel very comfortable saying this to the commissioner, I know our staff's here, they can tell her, this isn't, I'll support this item, but we need to be very aware when we're telling the mayor to do things that's not previously accounted for in the budget.
Well, we can ask for clarification on this one. I mean, I think when they say no fiscal impact, I think moving forward, what we might want to consider is, to have them keep some sort of tally of staff time, so they can tell us like how much, I don't get to get all attorney on it, but.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Cohen-Higgins is right. Yeah. Them keeping their time would actually cost time. Yeah. So yeah, we're not gonna. But
just an estimate.
But we need to be aware, just as commissioners, because this might be a smaller thing, but we've seen some other things come. We just tell the administration to do it, and then when the administration comes back and say, hey, we have this gap between what we do and funding projections, we'll be like, oh wait, let's find it through efficiencies. And so, yeah, oh, transparency will give us more money. And so we start having those conversations, and I just want us to be mindful. But I'm okay with the motion and the second on everything excluding the 3A. So it's been moved, it's been seconded. Do we need to take a roll call on this? No. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, show them adopted and report it favorably. Commissioner Regalado, you recognize for a motion.
Thank you. On 3A, I've spoken to staff, and they're okay with a one-time deferral. You know, we got the substitute late last night, so I haven't had a chance to talk to my cities. And again, I feel like we're doubling down on a lot of the same problems that we have with the bond. So I look forward to just a deferral and bringing it, making sure that everybody's on board with the changes.
Can I just ask a quick question?
I won't take her motion to defer yet, because if I did, then that would be preemptive. You can ask your question.
Quick question. So what happens? They go on month to month until we have a new agreement? Does it expire? Do we have an issue where there could be, just unintentionally, could be some sort of issue? Do we have to defer but also give you direction to do something?
If it expires, we can continue on a month to month.
Okay.
Yeah,
On the existing agreement.
The existing agreement, we'd be month to month until a new agreement is set. We wouldn't be in a situation where.
That would be our intention, yes.
And we'll bring it back to the next meeting, is that your thought? Next committee?
The next committee meeting,
Okay.
right.
Okay, so it's been a motion to defer by Commissioner Regalado, second by the chair. All those in favor of deferring this until the next committee meeting. And, well,
That's going to be a problem.
It's a problem because it's a problem because the chair actually sets committee schedule, and he doesn't actually have to have a committee meeting. Yeah,
Or you
but
could set
what if he doesn't? What if we don't have an October or November meeting? I mean, so when I was chair, one of the things I would note is when you all would forward something to the next committee meeting, you're assuming the chair actually calls a committee for the next meeting. So let's just do this. Let's put it as deferred. If I say indefinitely or no time certain, we can bring it back anytime. But really, what I want this to be in the posture of is for it to come back the next time we meet, or I want the chair's office to have the ability to
Send it to whatever committee is
send
meeting.
it whatever committee is meeting. That's what I wanted.
Appropriation or any committee that's meeting.
So attorneys, like what do I want? That's my end goal. That's where I want to end up at. Tell me how I get there.
You could move to defer to the next committee meeting when this, not to October necessarily, but to the next infrastructure committee meeting, and the chair does have the authority to place it on another committee.
Okay, so why don't we just move to defer to the next committee cycle? Yeah. So that means it's not specific to this committee. He can still put it on anytime he wants to, and we're going to defer to the next committee cycle.
Okay.
It's possible, yeah.
Yes, that's fine. The chair, only the chair could move it to a different committee. It's in this committee already, but yes, I understand.
Only the chair could, yes. So that's fine with the chairs. I just wanted to make sure we could actually get it back in front of somebody in case this committee didn't meet. Yeah, all right. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, show it adopted. Anything remaining on this agenda?
No. Thank you, folks.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned. Thank you.